here. Great. Justin, Wong, and Radovan. We try to do kind of knowledge transfer regarding automated service ping or just service ping now, because it will be the only one option very, very soon. Here is our issue, what we have, and actually what I think Justin makes sense what you said, to try to separate this into two issues. Step one is actually what we should cover today. It's perfectly clear if you agree with that. I mean, I like your idea because definitely this is a must to have. And also second step is we should align, discuss with Israel and Miles, but I think it's also good part. What you said is kind of low to medium impact, but still should consider a couple of options. But let's do step one. Meanwhile, we can reassess requirements for the step number two. Okay, so you know the drill. This is the issue, and after issue, you have connected here. Where are you? Draft. Just give me a second. We have merge request based on this code. As a previous step, what I promised to you is I incorporated the code, which is more beautiful and easier to test, or possible to test comparing to the previous version. Incorporated everything in the current MR, run the test locally on Airflow, prove everything is correct, and actually have the same output. Then run the tests, everything passed fine. So this is your baseline from here to start moving forward. Also in the comment of MR.
One question.
Yes, please.
So I did see the merge request. I was a little bit confused because I thought it didn't look like it was part of the main repo. It's like a separate.
Yes.
And that's okay. That's intentional.
That's a different story. That's intentional because what's going on? I have a different project related to service ping, but it's a very specific use case. We want to deliver our bundle of code to another team, and they will run it and spin it off. So they don't need the full repo, and it's a different technology, and it's not connected except this point here. Later on, we will connect everything together, but this is kind of first iteration. So that's the reason why we have separate repo. Also, what I think it's not, I would say organically or very easy to recognize here is also what you pointed out is if you go to issue, not here, sorry, I'm on the wrong tab. Not here. Okay. You're confused why this MR is connected to this issue, because in this MR I mentioned here. So if you mention somehow MR and issues or MR and MR, it will be connected automatically without my intention. So I just mentioned something in a comment, and GitLab product just hook it up and say, aha, okay, it's connected to this issue. So that's the way where you have related merge requests here. Even this is not connected with this issue, except I mentioned that in comment, but that's the way how things are going. So be careful about that. I'm always confused about this. So good point for that. Is it clear? Can we move forward or?
Yeah, I see what you're saying now. So the original issue has two related merge requests. One of the merge requests is actually irrelevant to this project. It's just that you had mentioned it, but I see the other merge request.
Yeah,
that's relevant.
This is good just as a warning for future issues, because I always fell into the same trap. If you're not careful, you just can press and what's going on is completely different story and different MR. And okay, as I said, I incorporated the code from another MR. As I said, it's already tested, checked, locally run through Airflow, and I would say, yeah, we are good to go from this point. So this commit is your baseline. So from here, you should move on and do the thing. Just one step back regarding automated service ping. I already share a couple of links with you from our handbook, what actually this means. We pick up the data from Postgres pipeline and put it in Snowflake, and it's stored in raw tab Postgres and prep gitlab.com schema, a dedupe source like the duplication. Also on the other side, when it comes to service ping, we download, you saw, keep value pairs like with zillion selects, and these selects are in Postgres syntax. We transform them in Snowflake syntax, add few more details, and execute each of these sequences on Snowflake and get the results. Instead of select something, we will have 5 or 10 or actually whatever we calculate. So it's kind of hybrid approach, not natively just insert the data, it's natively insert the statements, execute statements, and collect the results. And then that JSON we push in a row SAS usage ping schema. And later on down the road, we transform that, and then Miles will take care about that. Focus for you and me now, and mainly for you, after you're equipped with everything you need, is to change the structure of JSON file. You already got that point, and which is really cool. I fully agree with your idea. This step 1 is super simple, as you said. So instead of flattened, you will keep the same structure and replace select, and you have actually transformed everything there with the number. Also, I think that part is typical programming task, nothing special. I'm here to help, but I got the feeling you're very confident about it, which is great. And also what I want to show you now is how you should test something, how you should run it in Airflow locally, how you should create what you need. Let's start from the scratch.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I will just repeat actually what I did in the morning, and I'm also pretty confident everything should work. So let's start. Once when you create a merge request and change your code and have initial commit from your source system, actually I'm using Git, of course, and where are you? Source tree, visually it's easier for me, and push some changes. On initial commit here, I will be able to see several pipelines here. Just a second. Some pipelines will be automatically run, and then it will be create what? It will be create single copy clone from production for your local databases. And here, if I go to Snowflake.
Are you meaning to share your screen, Radovan?
Oh, sorry. Inform me before that. I just put recording. Okay. Let's start from the scratch. Can you see my screen now? Now it's much easier to track. Sorry for that. As I said, when you run initial commit, you'll get set of pipelines here divided per its nature. For this kind of task, we need a Python pipeline. We also need some Snowflake stuff. Here, I already did some homework because this run automatically. And if you want to run something, clone row specific schema, you can say, just a second, he's too noisy. Okay. Where are you? Hey, where is my schema? See, by default, you will get issue name, issue title, and suffix prep, prod, and row. In row, I did the creation of schema I need using this pipeline. For that purpose, I say, I know I need this row SAS usage ping when I want to run Airflow locally because data will land there. For that purpose, I created, so everything should pass to do a mimic of production. Parameter I need for clone row specific schema, you have everything in handbook docs for each schema. It's nicely described, but just to do accesses for you is SAS usage ping. I will not run this because it's already created, so nothing will happen. Actually, it will fail, but this is already there for you. What should I focus for this feature or this issue is Redis metric. Instance Sql metrics here, this table. Later on, we will cover namespace and Redis metrics and also these errors. If I go here, today is October 3rd. Actually, there is one ping I already calculated to be sure everything passed fine with new code, and I got the result. So you can run this n times per day, whatever you want, to just alter, or add more records. So that is the first step if you want to do run or test something locally. So that part is fine. We will get later to this piece of code. Then I'm on my branch here. Jump analytics and do make airflow. This command will build airflow locally for me and use my code from my branch. Everything is automatically behind the scene already set up for me. So no worry about this. You can't screw up anything on production. So it will refer to your schema. It will refer to your branch. And because we run, here is the local airflow. And if I go to localhost 8080, I will get a local version of my airflow. By default, all DAGs are set to off. And I will find my DAG I need here. Is this clear? Is it too fast for you? You can follow it, right? Or
This is great.
okay. I mean, I passed this 100 times, so I think, okay, I know how this is doing, but yeah, just slow me down if I'm too fast. What we need here is SAS usage ping DAG. Very simple, one of my favorite. I inherit this code from Matthew, as I said. If you want to run the test, you should put this DAG on. By the way, do you have any experience with Airflow previously, or you use some other tool? Okay.
Pretty experienced with Airflow, so.
That's great. Now I know whom to ask if something's stuck. In that case.
Maybe not that experienced.
Oh, I don't know. You have never know. Okay, I would turn it to on. And of course, typical trick here is clear. And I will run everything. I don't need this namespace for this moment. I would say mark success. This Redis is fast as a lightning. It's already just download the RESTful API and upload it there. And this service SAS usage ping, Sql Metrics usage ping took 20-25 minutes. That is what I note here. Just for your awareness, because you know how it's going. You run something and after 10 minutes, not done. Okay, is this wrong? Is it stuck? So be patient, because this pipeline should execute more than 600 queries, and some of them are full table scanner heavy, but okay, it will be fine. This is no status still. Why? I don't know. Usually these catch up very, very quickly. Okay, these are queued. Boom, they're running. If you go here and view log, I also improved some exception handling. Like before, it was the catch, like I tried to get RESTful API data. If I have any code, I will just push empty brackets to the server in this table. So it will be just square brackets with nothing inside, like empty JSON. So I just put request rise for status and it will be handled automatically. Why? This is important because last week, token was expired or someone changed the token and everything was boom, and we just be informed after data landed here, which is bad. And I failed to recognize that part is not handled properly for last year. Everything was perfect now. In Happy Flow, it's all good. But here you can see this pipeline will fail. So this is the log info. So it's going one by one. Get SQL, transform, execute, get, and after 20 minutes, I will, or my pipeline will push one more record here, ready to go. So that's the story together, how you should run your Airflow locally, how you run particular Sql Metrics DAG or task. Also, I would say for this task or for this MR, it will be also good maybe to change, let's say, task name or something, because we call it Sql Metrics, and here is SAS instance usage ping. So maybe it will be good, and this is the best situation because there is no downstream modeling heavily in use yet, so to also change the naming convention. Instead of SAS instance usage ping, like you can say SAS instance SQL Metrics, SAS instance Redis Metrics, sans instance namespace metrics, just to uniform the naming convention. This was the project started a long time ago. I inherited that project, and we have already an issue to do a kind of naming convention, but I think now it's safe. It's just a couple of minutes. Do not do it heavily, just spend a reasonable amount of time, as I said here, also to, let's say, improve a code a bit. I know you're capable to do that, and also everything is out of the box here for you. But the main focus for you, main task is to change the JSON. And also when it comes to the testing, you always should check the data in your schema. So generally speaking, we have a couple of way of tasks, like one is change Python code or something regarding Airflow. Second task can be out of the shells 5 stitch Monte Carlo, just do some settings. And third one will be DBT, like, okay, for DBT kind of testing run test environment, we should use a different approach. We can cover it today if we have time. We need just a few minutes. I don't know, did we have a chance to run with DBT here in GitLab and how to do that? But I think it's also sufficient to cover everything, because this is how you should do up and running for Airflow tasks or Python change tasks.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to do that. If you could cover that today, that would honestly be
I'm
fantastic.
more than happy to do that, because as I said, one day you will just have something to change in DBT and run the models. I have a good example now, or we can do it whatever. And then you know the entire flow. So long story short, this is the very brief introduction how you should do up and running local test Airflow. Also for Airflow, once when you change your code, you should push your code to the remote repo. Why? Because this task will get everything from your branch and spin its Kubernetes instance. That's the one story about how you should approach the testing strategy and check your execution. That's the first part. Regarding Airflow, before we move on to DBT, I want to show you two more pieces of code or functionality we should cover, and it's good to know. I always forced to have a proper test cases, especially when you are able to run it locally. On the remote GitLab MR, you will see it's running automatically, and you can pass even if it fail, but locally you can ensure your quality of code and also run test cases. What is important for this issue? Inside extract, SAS usage ping, still bad naming convention, but what to do? You will find a couple of files. It's called usage ping. This file taking care for this task you see, Redis, SQL, and namespace. Forget of namespace for now. I need to change something probably end of this month. I will include you just to give you the brief overview. So we have instance Sql metrics, instance Redis metrics. That's a step 2. We want to merge it together. But now focus install Sql metrics. Inside usage ping structure, you will find the main entry point. If you go to DAGs, extract SAS usage ping, you will see how it's organized. And how we call this code. So we use Python free usage ping py SAS instance ping as an entry point, because I think we use Fire library here to trigger what we need as a kind of script in scripting fashion. Probably not the best option, but yeah, that is what we have. Let's go back to the code. In SAS instance ping, as I said, you cover namespace, Redis, SQL. SAS instance ping is actually SQL. Stick with naming notation if you can. If you do, I don't know what tool you prefer, but in PyCharm it's fairly easy to do. This routine is very, very, I would say, simple, and it's do the thing for us. Actually, to execute each query. One step back is another file, and it's called transform Postgres to Snowflake. This is actually what I changed today. And if you scroll down, I just, instead of main, use this and wrap up the code to use this kind of better option, because before it was very long unit without possibility to test it, to check it, to extend it, to reuse it, whatever. So this is working fine. I proved that. By the way, this transform will reshape it from Postgres to Snowflake. Logic is there. Instead of JSON flatten, you should use nothing probably, and it will do the thing for you. Just a second. Okay. So in this transform, as I said, you have everything you need. Probably you should just readjust the code a bit and run it. Then the next step, I think, is super important for us. I always insist on that. Test cases. I introduced, I think, most of them regarding this unit. Everything is here. So if I go here and run, no, I want to run what? Yes. Very easy for me to check is everything is okay. So when I refactor the code, always run test cases, I'm sure everything is there. When you push your code and go to MR, everything will run automatically. So Python PyTest will execute all test cases in the entire repo, in analytics repo. Complexity, black, PyLint. This failed because of some other units. But for now, usually I stick with my changes. In perfect world, there should be like showstopper. If it doesn't pass, you can't merge your merge request. But now we try to clean up our code bases. So yeah, we allow, let's say, we're generous to do that. But in the future, I think we should make it more strict. And as I said, usually when I change piece of code, I do full analysis on that piece of code, and usually it's okay. So also you can rely on this. Feel free to add more test cases. Feel free to change it, screw it up, whatever you feel it's necessary in order to make things done. And that's the story about that. So generally speaking, from Airflow, we spin our Kubernetes pod, we put the code there, execute it in script fashion manner using Fire, and then data, once when it's done, is uploaded to Snowflake. Long story short. Same goes for Redis, for InstaSQL, and for namespace. Now we should focus in this part only InstaSQL metrics. What I put in MR is main requirement, like must to do, but also if you have time, if you have any will to do this, just make this a little bit more beautiful, aligned with the naming convention. We need a fresh pair of eyes to take a look what is not in a good shape and improve it. As I said, most of these things are crying for improvement because this was initially created by other persons. I try to make it more perfect. Of course, technical debt is there, so maybe to get rid of that and also unify the code and also put my observations here. To ensure the code quality, you can feel free to just run the script inside your project and also focus only on SAS usage ping. So isolate it actually what we are doing, what we are changed, and move on. Any questions as of now? Probably more a lot of them probably in the future, but for now, what do you think?
Let me just make sure I've understood everything up to this point, because we did cover a lot. So I'm just going to do some recap.
Please.
And please feel free to chime in if I missed something.
Yeah, of course.
So the first step was the CI/CD. And you already ran this part, but for generally when you interact with Snowflake, you need to run a clone raw specific schema.
Yes, with one note, depends on the use case. For this use case, we will clone SAS usage ping schema inside raw database. Also, you have an option to clone the entire raw database. It's fairly slow. I don't like to do that. And yes, that's it. Sorry, carry on.
And in this case, we're cloning SAS usage pings. Like, in fact, okay, I'm a little confused because I didn't realize. Where does this, is this in prep database? Where is this schema? Oh, it's raw. Okay.
Everything, sorry, just one step back regarding the architecture of the system. Everything theoretically, sticking with best practice from Airflow, what we run there will end up in raw first, in raw database. So we have raw, prep, and prod. For data engineering, 99% of the time we are focusing on raw. So we want to move data in. And of course, we have some jobs to move it to prep, but consider Airflow equal raw or push data in raw all the time.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and you already ran that, so I'm not going to do that. We already have that in Snowflake. We can see it. Yes. The next step is to test Airflow locally, and we simply just run make Airflow. And this allows us to test it in localhost 8080. We find the DAG that you described, SAS usage ping, we turn it on, we run it, we wait 20 minutes, and then we can see the result in Snowflake.
Exactly. I will just follow what you're talking just to be sure we are on the same page. Yeah, you fully understand it properly. So if you go to DAGs, enable the DAG I need. Just a second. Then I turn on the DAG I mentioned, so I focus only on that. And inside the DAG, we have three tasks. This is still running. Yes, and actually this will end up in Snowflake table I already mentioned. Carry on, please.
Okay, and then we also want to be running the PyTest locally as we are developing, just to make sure we're passing everything.
True.
One point of, and you also had mentioned the different modules that need to be edited. One, and then so now we're looking at the final, just kind of some extra things that if I have time to do, I can. And one of the things you mentioned is like pylinting, just doing some, how is that automatically done when I run the make error? Like when does that happen when I want to test it locally? It's a,
if you want to test it, yeah, that's a good one. If you want to test it locally, everything is under make file. So usually
I see.
I run this. Take your time to not be super fast, just to deeply understand what's going on. So this is not extremely emergent, even if they're said, just to be familiar with the project. That was my other intention, step that just sort out the problem. This will be fine. Make Python code quality will run everything on the entire project, but as I said, some things are not in perfect shape, so I try to stick it locally. In make file, you can see all options we have, so you can run one by one, you can run in a bunch, whatever you want. But I just extract here, I just extract here regarding the folder we have, and also ignoring what is not super important for us, or there is some, I don't know, firefighting problems we need to get rid of in the future, but on this stage, after first iteration of linting, this is more than sufficient, I would say.
Got it. Okay, yeah, so I think everything makes sense to me up to this point. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Yeah, you rephrase it in a very good shape and very good way, and I'm super happy if I can, broadcast this to you, so you cover everything. And also, as I said, probably after 1-2 days, you need to rewatch this session. Ignore my son behind. And yeah, you can do it, definitely. Of course, I'm here so we can do pair programming if it's necessary from your side, or if you're done, stuck somewhere, or just okay, let's practice it, or if I need to shadow you, whatever, just ping me. I'm more than happy to help. But yeah, that's the very long story, very short.
Great. Okay. I think I got that part.
Yeah.
So then should we move on to maybe on a high level, some of the other testing workflows or just development workflows?
Exactly. That will be perfect. I think you did a great job. You did your homework. I did my homework. I incorporated changes, so we saved some time for us, which is also a good option. I like it. As I said, regarding the custom change in the code, is it Python? Is it DBT? For out-of-the-shelf tools, we just do some configs like Monte Carlo, Stitch 5, Trend. There is no magic behind. Magic is here. The next option. Okay, I'm done with Airflow. We can forget on this part. Okay. Usually I have this jump analytics, but I'm already there. Let's say you have one task to change or introduce new DBT model. Let's say you need to change something, existing model. You will do your magic here inside the repo. What is very significant for DBT change? So now we're talking only about DBT. DBT part is in transform folder, then Snowflake-DBT, then models. This is a typical DBT hierarchy in the project. By the way, have you ever tried DBT, or you're very experienced that, or you're a rookie? What do you think? What is your level regarding DBT?
I've only done like the introductory course. I've never used it in production, but I think I have like a decent understanding of like from a theoretical perspective, at least, because the onboarding covered this quite a bit. And so I am familiar with like all the different make commands for this. So
Great.
we don't need to cover that too much.
No,
But yeah, I am very happy to hear any wisdom you have.
there is no wisdom. Actually, I'm always looking for, if you know, more to improve this make file. Everything is subject to change here. So if you have any proposals, just say, create an issue. We can contribute on that, because now it's very simple, but this do work for us. As I said, this is typical organization inside DBT. So transform, Snowflake DBT, models, then subfolders. You want to go, let's say, to sources, SAS usage ping, instance Sql Metrics. I just forget one thing, instance Sql Errors. If you calculate the metrics and any of these metrics failed, it will end up in instance Sql Errors table and we will be alarmed. The catch is this will not break the pipeline. You have 660 something or 700 execution of queries. If 2 of them failed, these 2 records will end up in instance Sql Errors, will be informed, rest will be succeed and do the downstream modeling. And also for that reason, I'm doing that bundle to proactively deliver it to the PI team so they can easily do proactive testing, and we will avoid this kind of failure. So in perfect world, this table will always be empty. By the way, when it comes to DBT model, we have, let's say, SAS usage ping instance model. I create this model, alter this model, whatever. I'm going to my repo, jump analytics, and run DBT, enter. This will prepare DBT for me in case you have everything pre-installed already. So you see some commands here. When you run make DBT, and that's it. Then what you should do is just a DBT run model name test. For this purpose, you also need, let's say, Radovan Bacovic prep, Radovan Bacovic prod. In your case, is Justin Wong prep, Justin Wong prod. It's your copy of production and prep layers. Source for this will be by default raw from production. In some reason, you want to modeling something by yourself and want to redirect, no, not from raw, but from some other. In that case, you call vi in this file, zshrc, I don't know the name. And there is one variable here should be exported, and it's called export Snowflake load database. By default, this is raw, but earlier today, to do some exercises and gymnastic, I referred to this 14337. It means when I run my DBT models, I will not get the data from production raw. I will get the data from this database and appropriate schema, because I said to DBT, okay, Snowflake load database variable is looking here. Okay, I will revert it to raw again, just to do not forget in the future. And now, because I run make run DBT, I can use and when I run this locally from that schema, in this case raw, I will run my model and this will end up in this schema on Snowflake server. In my case, it will be, where are you? Bacovic prep or Bacovic prod, depends what kind of model you're running. But usually the architecture is raw, prep, and prod from layer to layer. In this case, I know because I made this model, this will run from raw to prep. So if I run this, theoretically, I think it will be fine. I would say DBT run model SAS usage ping instance, and boom, it will end up in my schema. You can see everything on the console here as well, like create a table or view Bacovic prep, and that's it. So this is the most easiest way to run, test, develop something locally when it comes to DBT changes. When you push your code to the repo, to remote repo, you will find also the set of pipelines you can add from here. What is the difference here? I think it will not end up in your private schema prop and prep. It will end up in this issue name schema_prep. So that's the only difference. And if you go here and say GitLab handbook, CI jobs, data team, you can see the all CI pipelines and all CI jobs, how they're running and what is the meaning, what, let's say, parameter you need to put there. But long story short, everything regarding DBT should have variable DBT models because you probably want to run one model. This is going fine for now. I approve the login, so we'll see the result very, very soon. But that's the story about how you should approach development and testing locally on your DBT and which schema in Snowflake it's used. Any question?
No, that makes complete sense.
I would say, as usual, the best way to learn something is to put your hands in dirt. But now you have a general overview, okay, which steps you should approach and what you should do. But as I said, anything you need, just ping me so we can do it together. But just want to give you the brief overview on the story.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. That was actually very, very helpful because I actually have like went through some of this stuff through the onboarding, but just to see you do it and like with the example helps a lot.
Yep.
I did have one question actually.
Yes, please.
When you ran DBT run models, I noticed you had specified just one model. You didn't add any of the parent dependencies. And maybe that's because this particular model is actually one of it doesn't have any dependencies.
Yes, yes.
But if you were developing on a model that has parent dependencies, do you generally run the parent dependencies as well?
Yeah. I know this is isolated model, still kind of in test or something. Usually depends on the logic. Like if I'm working something on prod layer, I want to go from raw to prep and prod, then put plus here and everything upstream to my model will be executed. You got the point, you know this trick. If you put plus on the left side, it means everything, which my model depends, run everything there. If you have 100 models, it will run 100 models. Or on the other side, if this is a row, I want to see the impact plus on the other side. Or you can combine this plus model name plus. It means if my model is in, let's say, in prep, in middle, I want to run everything upstream and everything downstream. Luckily now we are on the latest version of DBT. So if, let's say, if you change or if you add the column or change the data column time, DBT is smart and will execute full refresh automatically. But before, you should run this. Especially it was a problem before with 0 something DBT. Now with version 1, you say full refresh to purge everything what it was before, start from the scratch and fill the table. But yeah, answering your question shortly is you should use plus. Also, you're able to run DBT models by tag to exclude something. But for, I don't know, very small changes from 1 to 3 models, usually I use this notation or this, depends on the use case. But yeah, good advice, definitely.
Okay, that's very useful. So I think you've covered Airflow and DBT. I'm hoping to ask you for one more.
Yes, please.
So on Friday, there was an issue with the DBT test. Monte Carlo had to be updated.
Yep, we did it.
And yeah, I saw you guys had you guys had merged that MR. So Justin Stark had, and I know like, so ideally you update the requirements, but then I think Justin was like, oh shoot, like it's Friday, Radovan's going to probably update the requirements on Monday. Maybe we should do a temporary fix. So I guess I'm kind of hoping to ask you like, so Justin's fix was to update the Python code in the DAG to just comment out the Monte Carlo line.
Yes.
Just for something that simple, how would you would you just go through the airflow steps you talked about, or how would you test that?
Yeah, that's the pain point for some things in Airflow. It's super difficult to test something like that kind of stuff. You can run it, maybe you should get some crazy results, but usually we're based or rely on our experience. Like, okay, we will not do this, or we just run it blindly. But regarding this kind of stuff, it's plug and pray. Like, actually, I mean, I trust Justin Stark. You know what he's doing. Definitely, he's super experienced in DBT or an Airflow or both things. But to be honest, try to do as much as testing as you can local if it's possible, right? Like, I know there was one task for me, like when DBT runs, it generates manifest.json file. So it's technically almost impossible to try to run it local, because you need to run the entire DBT flow. It takes 6 or 7 hours. So one day you will just, I don't know, waste to watch how things are going. So descope everything, like comment it out and keep only 2-3 models to run. So it's kind of forced minimal set of data temporarily, like from your local environment. And maybe that's the answer on your question. So that was the reason how I tested before. So I rely on, okay, descope it. Instead of 100 models, we'll run 2 models and see, or probably feel, okay, I'm super confident this can move forward. And there is also a third story about approach of development. I mean, I digest this for 1 year, so this can be explained in 10 minutes, but I will get lost. Regarding this Monte Carlo, actually, it's a good example. Just a second. If I go here, you see DBT test stacks because of Monte Carlo issue. I spoke with Monte Carlo team and they suggest, okay, upgrade library to the latest version. And for that reason, you should go to different repo. It's called data image, where our data images are built. And if you go here, you see you need to change the definition or version of your package should be installed and used in DBT. So this is another repo, it's not analytics.
Yeah, no, that was going to be my second question, is because I did see this merge request and I'm familiar with the data image repo. I was going to ask you, how did you test this?
How we test this? We change this. Then we create a tag. This was 109. Then later on in the analytics repo, change the version of DBT image. So now when we spin up Airflow locally and run DBT, we will run this version of package. Then locally you can run, because on production is 105 or 107, locally in your branch is 109, because you call that version. When you spin up your local Airflow instance and run the DBT, it will run here. So that's the way, and you're able to test it. So actually you combine here 2 things. One is change on data image. Merge request is merged to main or master branch. Then you create a tag. Next thing, on analytic repo, you should do your thing, create a merge request and update the version of DBT image in this case, or it can be, I don't know, data image or any other image we are using. No limit here. But in this particular case, it's DBT image referred to 109 instead of 105. And that's it. And then you're actually able to execute and do Airflow tests locally.
Let me recap what you just said.
Please.
So we update the requirements file in the DBT image. We push that change. We push the MR. So now the updated tag, we can access it through Docker Hub or GitLab Hub, whatever you guys call it. And once it's in the hub, now we go back to the analytics repo and we update Airflow utils, the image string, to reflect that new tag, and then we can test Airflow locally. If Airflow works locally, then this MR gets pushed to production, the CI/CD jobs get run, and we're okay. Do we have to do anything for the CI/CD job in the remote for this new tag?
No. Just actually, when you go here, add Monte Carlo data lib. This is fairly small change. I edited directly from browser. Then actually 2 pipelines are build, and this is delete. So if this passed, but approve it, check everything is okay. It was very minor change. And then if you go to repo and then go to tags, you should create, once when it's merged, 109 tag from master branch. And see. And you have now tag 109. And then, as you said nicely, you should use in DBT image locally and spin up everything. So that's it. Actually, you have two pieces of stories: data image, build. If it's built properly, then it's okay. Someone should merge it and merge your code to master branch, and you're ready. Then on your local MR and your branch in analytics repo, you're able to use 109.
Okay, so are you saying that the tag, it's automatically created in the remote?
No, manually. Sorry, manually.
Oh, you still have to do it manually.
Yes,
So
yes.
after the merge, then a tag, well, there's a new, after the merge, there is already a new tag associated with that image that's been built, right?
Yep.
But then you have to create like
exactly. Add new tag, type 109. Just see the previous one and increase. So it's manual process for now.
Got it. Okay, create a new
You
tag.
can call it ABC. No one will, I don't know, forbid you that, but still we stick with some naming convention rather than it's a rule or it's automatically created. I expect it will be automated, but still this kind of manual process as of now.
Okay, that's a great explanation. I think that gives me a lot more clarity.
Yeah, I was most confused with this part. Where is what? How to change something outside of analytics repo? You know, analytics repo is typical programming repo with Python code. That's okay. But if you need to touch infra part or upgrade, update, delete, improve infra part, you should go to data image.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I feel you. Like that's the part that's more confusing for me because I think there's just a lot of different moving pieces. But that's
cool. When you got the overview, it's fairly simple. But I spend a lot of time and nights to sort out this for myself. So as I said, this data image is a great approach because you're able to use actually two different versions of images inside the same repo. Okay, for let's say this part, I will use this. For testing, I will use this. So fairly easy, I would say, when you got the point. So actually we have 5-6 images. DBT data images are the main one. DBT image is not, it's very humble in a couple of libraries, and data image is more comprehensive usage of libraries. But still, I think in the future we should improve this more and more. Paul is doing a great job regarding maintain this piece of code or package. So that's great.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, real quick, we just go back to, because I know that this fixing the requirements file is the best way of doing it, but just using the example of commenting out the DAG, like as a temporary fix, I'm just trying to imagine what, because you said it's better to test it as much as possible.
Yep.
So it sounds like to me, oh, it finished.
Yeah, it's finished. That's
great.
Okay.
So it sounds like to me though, like if you're updating the DAG, you have to test both the airflow section locally in the local 8080, but then you also have to test that DBT, or do you have to test DBT at that point? Because the original issue is DBT test is failing. So if you comment out the Monte Carlo, you want to make sure that DBT test works. So then I guess I would uncomment out, I would just run the DBT test airflow task, and then that's good.
Yes, because it's your problem is related to DBT test and it's part of the DAG. Yes. For now, our setup said, okay, we have one DBT DAG for all tasks. Now where is decoupling that, which is great because in the previous company, we have very decoupled and hierarchy of DAGs and tasks, which was super great and easier to manage, low dependency, lower latency. But now, as I said, your problem is inside DBT, so you should test that part inside your Airflow to ensure, because you didn't call just DBT, you call DBT with some parameters, and it's impossible to run that locally. That's a restriction. So I would say inside Airflow, you should do a test as much as possible. But what Justin Stark did it is probably, if you go to here to DAGs, to, I don't know, test, or let's say it's called DBT test or something.
I think it's within dbt.py. There is no dbt test.
This one, yeah. He just say, okay, I will delete this, right?
Exactly. He just comment that out.
Yeah, because DBT with Monte Carlo integration said, okay, if you want to include Monte Carlo stuff, run Monte Carlo library. And this library is defined in our data image. So if you remove this, I would say 99% you're confident everything will pass fine. Why? Because before it was exactly the same code. Previously, code looks like this. It was running for years. So yeah, this is very recently added by Gerta.
So what Justin did, if I remember correctly, is he actually commented out the whole line, including import DBT run results. So would that still pass? You just wouldn't have any test. It would still pass though, right?
Yes. Very simple DBT.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that
yeah, he just do like this.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is the full command, sorry. Monte Carlo library and said import DBT run results. DBT run results is actually file from DBT as a set of results. We also import this in Snowflake. You can see that in DBT schema, just to get the feeling how it looks like. But yeah, I got the point. Now I conclude. Okay, this command said import this in Monte Carlo somehow, so it's kind of part of integration. So DBT run results file should be uploaded in Monte Carlo, and then Monte Carlo can connect something. That's my assumption. Probably I didn't ask Gerta for details, but yeah, this should work because this looks like this before. So that's it. I will do like this, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
To be on the safe side, Git will keep it for me. But yeah, probably Justin said, okay, just a reminder for him. I don't know what is the situation on production.
Well, this is never going to be merged. Like I was just bringing this up as an exercise for myself.
Yeah. Definitely, yes. I would say all of us have some kind of way how we work something. It can be wrong or right, but yeah, we have our own approach. But what Justin said, I will do this kind of, okay, this will be a reminder for me to make it back, if it's okay. But I will do this to be on the safe side. Just my approach, nothing else.
Got it.
Which is probably both are right? Yeah, so no harm, definitely.
Yeah, same results. But okay. I think you ran through all the things that I had a lot of interest in, so that was super helpful.
I would say let me stop sharing and let me stop recording.